In the next part of our colour theory learning, we are going to learn what tints are and what shades are. So tints, they are a lighter version of a colour. And shades, think of it like shadows, shades are a darker version of a colour. So to make a lighter version, we are going to add white, and to make a darker version, we are going to add black. Okay, so we're going to start off with the lighter versions first. We're going to start off with the tints. We are going to choose one colour, which will be our original colour. And it will start in this box. And then as we move down, I'm going to add white. Then I'm going to add more white. And then I'm going to add even more white. So that colour should gradually get lighter. Over on this side, I'm going to add a little bit of black, then more black, and then even more black, and then that colour should get darker. So first of all, I'm going to pick my original colour. That can be a primary colour or a secondary colour. I'm just going to use a primary colour. I'm going to use red, okay? So I'm going to start off with, first of all, I'm going to start off just by painting my two original colour boxes up at the top, so we can see how those colours change depending on adding white or black to them. So just a reminder of what good, neat painting looks like. You are going to use small brush strokes and those brush strokes will move in the same direction. They're going to be as small as you can possibly get them. So remember, you can turn your paper if you need to get your hand just a little bit more comfortable. I'm trying my best to get on camera at the same time as get comfortable, so there's my original colour, which is red. Okay. So at this point you would have to wash your paintbrush and then most probably change your water, because your water is going to go red, and what we can't do is mix that red water with the white paint. So you do need to change the water now, which I'm going to go and do. So there's my clean water. White is such a weak colour that this will be the test now of whether people have washed their paintbrushes properly. So on your paint palette, what you are going to do Because white is such a weak colour, what you could not do is put red on your paint palette and then keep adding white to it, because it would take a lot of white. So what I'm going to do, using my paintbrush, I'm going to add, mine looks a little bit dirty. It might be the case that your white is a little bit dirty and it might need just wiping down with a tissue. That's better. So I'm going to try and make that milkshakey consistency, that nice thick paint consistency. So I'm adding water to my colour. I'm working the brush round so that the powder mixes with the powder and the water mixes. So the reason I've done it on the edge of the white is because just looking inside that white, a student may not have washed their paintbrush fully and the red's gone on the white, so it does need a good clean. So I'm working away, trying to make that nice thick white. I'm getting there now. So what I'm going to do with my paint palette, I am going to take that white, so lift and roll. You might have to do quite a bit of this. Scoop. Scoop and roll. Scoop and roll. Scoop and roll. And get as much of that out as you can, because we're going to paint 3 boxes using this colour. So I've got quite a bit of white out there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, we are just going to revisit our sheet. So we're going to have red and a little bit of white, red and more white, and red and more white. So what might be easiest to do here is start off with the lightest colour and then add more red each time. So we've got lots of white at the minute in our palette, and I am just going to add the tiniest bit. I always start by putting the colour on my palette and just rubbing it away so that I've got the tiniest bit on my paintbrush, because I can always add more red. So I've added the smallest bit of red to my white, and it's created this very light pink colour. So using that very light pink colour, what I'm going to do is paint this bottom square. So small brush strokes. All in the same direction. There we go, and I've got my lightest colour created. So what I'm going to do next is add even more red. I'm going to pick up more red and put more red into that pink, into that white. So this should be slightly darker this time. Let's do a test. It is slightly darker. I might add a little bit more red. So remember, just dab it off first, just in case you've got too much on your brush, because you can always add it a tiny bit at a time. So I'm going to test it again. And it is a little bit darker this time. And there we go, so it's a little bit darker. And then what I'm going to do next is add a little bit more red. And I'm going to test it. Not quite dark enough, so I'm going to add just a tiny bit more red. See if that's gone darker. It has gone a little bit darker. Maybe I can be a bit braver and add more red. And there we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different tones of red. If you think any two look quite alike, you can always change them. So if I add even more red to that colour, let's see how it changes it. And I am only doing a little bit at a time on purpose. And there we go, I have made them very different now. So we've got from original red, and then it's a little bit lighter, and even lighter. So next we're able to move on to our shades. So I'm going to start off with that original colour, which was red. And then I'm going to add more and more black. This one's a little bit easier than the tints. So for a shade, I'm going to start off with lots of my original colour. So I'm going to scoop that red and roll. Scoop, roll. Scoop, roll. And now what I'm going to do, black is very, very powerful. I'm just going to get a nice consistency on it. So I'm going to scoop some black up and put it on my palette. So I'm going to wash my brush properly. Get rid of any excess water that I don't need. So using the tip of my brush, I'm just going to pick up some black and add it to the red. And I'm just going to test. I've only added the tiniest bit and I want to see if it has actually changed the colour. And it has ever so slightly. I'm just going to add a tiny bit more. And then I'm going to paint that in my first box. So So shade is a darker version of a colour, and this is definitely a darker version of red. There we go. So now what I'm going to do next, I've washed my brush. I'm now going to pick up more black and I'm going to add that in and see if that does change the colour. Not much, so I'm going to pick up a little bit more. I'm just doing it in tiny bits. Now that has changed it a lot more. So let's have a look what that looks like. And there we go, and then I'm going to add even more black this next time. So washing my brush, pick up some more black and add that in. So we've got a very dark version of red now. It's not quite black, I can still see the reddy tones inside it, and you will as well when you're painting it. The camera can't pick up on it that easily, but you'll be able to see it in person. And there we go. So we've got our original red colour. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4 shades of red. 1, 2, 3, 4 shades of red, and 1, 2, 3, 4 tints of red. So we've got 8, well 7, because we won't count that twice, but we've got 7 different tones of red there just by using white, red and black. So if we use darker versions of a colour and lighter versions of a colour, we can use them to make our paintings look 3D and realistic. So now we know how to mix different colours, how to make them lighter and how to make them darker.